Look, climate change is not unstoppable. We're still in that window of opportunity, particularly in this decade, where if we fight hard and reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, we have a significant chance of avoiding dangerous climate change. But things are perilously close.
Peak oil is certainly as big a problem as climate change, arguably a more urgent problem because most of the impacts of climate change are taking decades to unroll, whereas the impacts of peak oil are happening now.
We really have failed to come to grips with the fact that there are going to be limits on what we can continue to do. Now, we have now reached the point where those global limits are becoming real. This was sort of flagged way back in the 1970s with the Club of Rome's limits to growth work. The core scenario of that work is actually almost exactly what's happened in the last 40 years. The problem is that in the next 5 years, according to that scenario, things start to fall apart because of the sorts of limits we're now seeing.
What we have become dependent upon is a non-renewable natural resource. Once it's gone, it's gone. But there's now, at this time, 7 billion people that need to be fed, that need to live, and what we call industrialization allows so many people to live on the planet and to live in as densely populated cities as we do.
I was born in 1930, probably looked like it, and in 1930 there were only 2 billion people on Earth, and today there are 7.1 billion, and if things don't go quite right, we'll be up to 10 billion by the end of this century, and that will just be indescribable, the damage that we will do to the environment if that happens.
We're seeing our governments immobilised by the scale of the problems and the challenges that humans are now facing. They can't solve these problems. They're like dinosaurs in a tar pit of opinion polls and vested interests. They can't move. What we're starting to see is consensuses forming around key issues around the world, and especially young people are conversing with one another across all the old boundaries that used to divide human beings, across racial boundaries and religious boundaries and ethnic boundaries.
We're the next generation to be dealing with this. We have the ability to take a stand. I remember a few years ago, Mum and I sat down to watch a movie together, and it was a really old movie. It was still in black and white, it was that old. And so we sat down to watch it, and one of the actors said something that I thought was so haunting. He said that children should be seen and not heard. That old one. And I had to ask my mum what that meant, because in this day and age, I'd never heard of that. And she told me that back then kids didn't get to have an option or a choice, which I thought was really sad. And so today, as kids, we are in this extremely unique opportunity where we're able to stand up for what we believe in and stand up for what we know is right. So we shouldn't just give away that opportunity, let it pass us by. We should act on it.